So we're doing things a little bit differently in Elevate Rochester this year. Every year it seems like we morph a little bit into some different patterns of things. And one of the things that we have done in the past is have what we call an orientation breakfast. In fact, we used to have two of them in March and May for organizations that are intending to apply or would like to apply for the ETHIE award and to have some questions about how the process works. We're not having breakfasts this year over at St. John Fisher just because of the COVID situation. We're just having fewer meetings in general. So we thought we'd supplement what's going on with a informational kind of a meeting to just share a few of the highlights of what this is all about, and what, in case you have any questions about how the process works, we can be right here and answer them right now. Each company that is nominated has a coach, that is someone who is on the board of directors or who is very familiar with how the process runs, so that if there are any questions, that's going to be the main point of contact going forward. But we wanted to supplement that coaching with a organization-wide look at what's going on, so that people could ask questions early. The information is there's been a whole lot of nominations this year. I don't know how many in total, but probably 30 or so anyway. And an awful lot of organizations are just in a maxed out situation with regard to what they're trying to cope with all the personnel changes and things that are going on, that are just kind of almost overwhelming, and have elected to come back and say, geez, I'm really honored to be nominated and we would really like to participate, but this year is not going to be workable for us, so we're going to postpone that and do that hopefully in 2023. It's that each organization has the right to punt and not have to put in an application if that's going to be inconvenient or cause problems. Our intent is not to cause problems, but to highlight areas where excellent ethics are being practiced. So I have a little slide presentation. It's kind of short, and but it will help me guide the conversation. So let me pull it up here. First of all, I guess before I go to the slides, are there any questions off the top? Okay.
Bob, I actually just had one quick question. It's Susan Wiley. I'm at Labella Associates.
Yes.
And I just wanted to mention that I did try to start the application process the other day, and I tried about 4 or 5 times and could not link into the website for some reason. It may have been a problem at my end. So I don't know if others have experienced the same, but I'll keep trying. It could have been a problem at my end just for that day.
I agree, Susan. I had that same challenge and I put it on pause.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I haven't experienced that myself. Every time I go in and pull up the application, it's there. So something's amiss. I don't know, Renee, do we have any system people that can help us?
Yeah, so I will follow up with Jeff Halick on that and see if he has ideas, because I think he's our lead for the website, I believe.
Well, keep trying, Susan. I hope, and if you do have problems, get a hold of Renee. Renee is really the point person on our organization to handle this. And so if there's problems getting through, by all means, speak up so that we don't hold you up. We don't want to do that. So let me pull up the little presentation.
Yeah, so I will follow up on that too, right after this meeting.
Okay. So this ETHIE award situation has been going on since 2003. So we have a very large number of companies. I count between the recipients of the ETHIE award and the finalists, a number of 78 companies in our region that have been celebrated publicly and in the press and everything else. And just just a word that every single organization that has applied for the ETHIE award has come back and said it was a very worthwhile activity to do. Whether or not they actually ended up getting receiving the award was icing on the cake, but the actual value that they got out of doing some soul searching on what their ethical processes are, etc., was really, really helpful to them. And so I think that's a universal observation that we get. And so anybody who's planning on applying, you get something back just by applying. We have made some significant changes to the process going forward to make it easier and less burdensome to make an application, yet without sacrificing any of the rigor that we insist on having as far as standards go. So things continue to morph in the direction of trying to make it more convenient and easier, etc., and communicate more, and yet we're not sacrificing anything by doing so. This is the application. I know I have a actual Word document with the application on it, but this is a sort of a slimmed down version, so you can just see basically we have 5 categories that you need to respond to each organization. The first one is ethical leadership. What are your ethical standards? Can you articulate them well? And do the leaders demonstrate their commitment to that? And how is that information communicated throughout the organization? So that's the first thing. And basically we're asking folks to respond with a short paragraph, 250 words or less, to respond to these questions. So it's really not, we're not looking for a tome. We're looking for short, crisp answers to the questions. And that's what the judges appreciate. The second one is organizational excellence. How do we show commitment to our policies and procedures? How do we promote and maintain organizational excellence? Our daily practices. So some of the examples of things that we do in this company to show our commitment to organizational excellence, how does that play out? And what do we see as the impact on those efforts in our organization? Then the third one gets into some more interesting specifics. Every organization, regardless of how good they are in terms of ethical practices, will get into ethical dilemmas from time to time. Some of them are serious, most of them aren't. But the section 3 here is to say, okay, how do we handle it when we recognize all of a sudden that there's an ethical challenge here in this situation with a particular customer or a billing cycle or something that happened? And we ask you to give an example of an internal ethical issue, that is something that's happening within your company. And you have to do it with the appropriate privacy, and an example of an external ethical issue. So we want more than just a general how do we handle things, but here's what happened and here's how we dealt with it kind of situation. Then the fourth section is all about does your ethical approach to doing business the right way go beyond your own borders? How well do you communicate to our community what we stand for and how we help to contribute to the community? So are there some activities that we participate in, maybe cleanup days, maybe certain fundraisers or whatever? What do we do out there in the community beyond our own borders that is value adding to our community? And then last year we added a 5th category to address the issue of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so there it's basically, do you have a DEI plan, and what does that look like? What is that? How does that translate? How do you put it into action in your organization? How does it become real and not just vaporware where we're intending to do something, but it doesn't really happen? How can we measure the impact, or how do we try to measure the impact of our DEI plan? And how is that helping to drive growth? And how do we train our people on the DEI program? So that's a fifth category that's we added it last year. This will be the second year, and it's proving to be very helpful for organizations. So I'll stop there. And are there any questions relative to the what the application looks like? It's not a huge long document anymore. It used to be a big thick notebook that you had to produce with page after page after page of descriptions. Now it's quite compact, and therefore it doesn't take quite as much time to prepare it. Here's just a little thumbprint of the changes that we've made to the process prior to 2021. We were known as RABEF, a Rochester Area Business Ethics Foundation, and we had an application with four sections. We had finalists and recipients. So basically, going through the process, you would first be notified that you were a finalist if you made the grade with the judges. And then a certain subset of the finalists would be recipients of the ETHIE Award. We had 3 size categories for companies: large, medium, and small. Therefore, where there were sort of the large companies were in competition with other large companies for the ETHIE honors, and the small companies were in competition with the other small companies. We've now eliminated that size category. It doesn't matter that we're not in competition with each other. We're in competition with a standard. And so therefore, it doesn't matter what size organization you are. Everybody's welcome. As long as you have at least 5 employees, you can participate. And we changed our name to Elevate Rochester to reflect what we're really trying to do: celebrate ethical cultures. And what we're really attempting to do is have the Rochester region be known as the gold standard for ethical cultures. And by creating a large group of companies that have been able to reach that level of what we call honor roll status, that means that there's 70 something companies that are doing it the right way, and we got a lot more that are doing it the right way, and that's why we want to celebrate those as many as we can. So our goal is to have as many organizations receive an ETHIE award as possible. And the fifth thing that we added was the diversity, equity, and inclusion thing this year. We're doing away with the finalists as a separate category. So everyone is in the same situation. As you apply, you're an applicant. And then out of the pool of applicants, the judges will select the ones that they believe have the highest standards and the best program, and they will be the ones that receive the ETHIE award for that year. So any questions on that? I went through a lot there, but that's just in the past 18 months is what we've been doing. You all are being very quiet, so I must be doing well. We're going to change to a different model of how we have what we call the honor roll, because it used to be that we had a partner sponsor model, and we would go to all the companies that had been in the honor roll years before and ask for a donation of $1,500, $3,500, or $7,500. And those partnerships are still available. But what we want to do is go to a different model where we're charging a membership fee of $250 a year. Pretty easy lift for most organizations to come up with $250 a year. And we'll have a recertification process that'll take place probably every 4 years, maybe every 3 years. We're still working on the details of that, but it will be a simple survey that organizations can send out to their employees, all employees, and have them state their impression of the ethical standards of the company. Basically, the idea is we want to honor with additional recognition in the community companies that are continuing to do really well with ethical cultures. And we give you a badge that you can put on your website and promote. And we, of course, will put you on the honor roll in our website as well. So there's some things that are coming up. This is going to happen starting later this year. The time line is we're kind of right in the middle here. We're June 1st, and so we've made the nominations, lots of nominations, and like I said, there are lots of companies that have chosen to defer to next year. We're at the point where the applications now are being made by various companies, and the applications are due on June 30th. So we've only got 30 days to finish that, but it's not a really heavy lift. It's just a matter of getting the stuff down on paper. Then we have the judges review the applications and decide if there are any companies that have applied that really don't really make the standard to even have a site visit. Those companies will fall off the list for that year and be eligible for the next year. Then we have later on in the summer a site visit. So that is generally where some representatives of the organization go in and ask additional questions, or if there's something in the application that was confusing or we needed some more information on, we can get it there at the site visits. The site visits are really intended also to be able to detect if this is well deployed throughout the organization. So basically, we talk to people at all levels and just say, you know, how are you interfacing with this system that you're doing in your company? And if it's just vaporware at the top of the organization or good intentions, then that's not so good. We want it to be very well deployed throughout the organization. Everybody knows what it is and everybody participates. Then we have the final judging, and we send out announcements that certain companies, several companies have made the standard. And then we have an ETHIE celebration sometime near the end of the year. I don't think, Renee, we have yet a date for that yet, do we?
We do not, but the anticipation is that it'll be in November.
Okay. So that's the way the process lays out throughout the year. And we're right at a critical junction here in early June where folks have to get busy and get those applications in. I want to speak a little bit about the coaches. I mentioned that each company has an assigned coach. It's usually the person that nominated you. So the person that, you know, put your name in, there's a little form that they have to fill out. And so those people are the coaches for ongoing information about how our process works. We want to make sure that no company feels a lack of information or you know, if there's questions, they got a place to go. They know who that is, and that person will be very responsive, be able to answer any questions of the process. It's not appropriate. The coaches are not going to be reading the applications and commenting on the viability of a particular application. That's your business. The coaches are there to make sure that you understand what's required, and if there's any questions, answer them, and make sure that the application is submitted on time. So that's the role of the coaches, and I hope that all of you are aware of who your coach is, and if there's any void there, you can get back to me or Renee, and we can make sure that you know who the coaches are. And the last slide that I had is just if there's any questions from you concerning any of this, the process or the timing or how the judging works, the site visits. And the last bullet there is probably an important one to hit. What happens to those who do not receive an ETHIE? It is not a negative situation. If you don't receive an ETHIE, it means that there was something in the application that the judges felt wasn't rigorous as it should be. And that means that you simply have the opportunity to try again in the future, maybe the next year, maybe 2 years, doesn't really matter. The point is there's no shame in applying and not receiving an ETHIE. We want to celebrate the best, and we do. But if you don't happen to make that, then it's not a big negative smear on your organization in the community. So that's all I had to share. If there's any questions that you have, I'll be glad to answer them here.
Bob, I have a question about the sort of annual membership. So we submit the $250 in conjunction with the application, and regardless of whether or not we are a recipient of the award, it sounds as if that fee entitles us to participate in events throughout the course of the year.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
You got that right, Susan. And it's so what we want to have is active members that are participating at a very modest fee. It's just a membership type of model, but that also get the benefit of this ongoing checkpoint where there's a survey that you can take, and it basically gives you a report back saying this is what your employees are saying about your ethics program. And you have the opportunity to see whether you're maintaining where you were, improving on where you were, or starting to slip. And so that is a benefit that you get, because you get a report back that says this is where you stand right now according to your people.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Any other questions? I know this has been short, but it was intended to be short. The whole idea is this is not very complicated. We're trying to make it not complicated. We're trying to make it as simple as we can for you and provide you the resources necessary to do the job. And so I think the only real serious action item here is to figure out if there's something wrong with the website, getting people in. Are you all going to the right place on the website?
I think so. I mean, I linked to the application form, and I think that the next message I got was something to the effect of this site is no longer available. It was as if the site, no longer existed. I was able to get to Elevate Rochester site without any trouble, but then the link to the actual application took me to a page which said it's no longer available.
Huh.
Yeah.
So I'm going to check that right afterwards and follow up with Jeff Halick. Thank you for that detail.
Sure.
Okay, if there's any other questions, I'll answer them. Otherwise, I think we're done. Was this helpful?
Very.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to you folks participating if you can.
Great.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Great.
Thank you. Have a
Bye-bye.
good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.